Admiral Jack Reynolds stood at the observation deck of the Luna shipyards, his weathered face reflecting off the reinforced plasteel window. Below him, construction drones swarmed like fireflies around the skeletal framework of what would become humanity's greatest gamble, the ECS Solitude. "Sir, the Centaurian ambassador is demanding another meeting." His AI assistant's voice held a note of concern. "He's threatening to terminate their defense treaty." Reynolds didn't turn away from the window. "Let them. They'll understand soon enough." He watched as another massive hull plate was maneuvered into position, its surface still bearing the unmistakable mark of a recycled destroyer. His destroyer, until yesterday. The decision to scrap 80% of Earth's fleet had earned him countless enemies. The media branded him humanity's greatest fool, and his own colleagues had started a petition for his court-martial. Only President Chen's unwavering support kept the project alive, and even she didn't know the whole truth. "Admiral," a firm voice called from behind him. "The test results you requested." Dr. Emily Winters, his chief physicist, handed him a quantum tablet. Her usual confidence seemed shaken. Reynolds studied the data, his expression hardening. "How many have seen this?" "Just my core team. We've implemented isolation protocols." The numbers confirmed what they'd discovered 3 months ago, a fundamental flaw in traditional fleet doctrine that no one else had noticed. The quantum entanglement fields used for fleet coordination created microscopic tears in spacetime, individually harmless, but multiplied across thousands of ships and hundreds of years. "The Arcturus anomaly," Reynolds murmured. "It wasn't a natural phenomenon, was it?" Emily shook her head. "The Arcturus system's collapse was caused by accumulated damage from 3 centuries of multi-ship fleet operations. Every major spacefaring race is unknowingly contributing to the same problem in their own systems." A distant crash drew their attention. Through the window, they watched as another cruiser was systematically dismantled, its valuable materials destined for the Solitude's construction. "Our solution is elegant," Reynolds said, more to himself than to Emily. "One ship, no coordination fields needed, but we can't tell them the real reason. Not yet." "Sir," his AI assistant interrupted urgently. "The Drachnid representative is broadcasting a live statement. You'll want to see this." A holoscreen materialized, showing the scaled face of Ambassador Thor. This desperate act proves humanity's technological and strategic inferiority. While advanced civilizations field thousands of ships, they cower behind a single vessel. The Drachnid Empire formally withdraws from all trade agreements with Earth. Reynolds muted the transmission, a slight smile playing at his lips. Let them think humanity weak. Let them believe this was desperation rather than inspiration. The Solitude would be more than a ship. It would be evolution given form. His comm unit chimed. "Admiral," a gruff voice said. "Engineering team reports the quantum core installation is ready for your inspection." "On my way." Reynolds took a final look at the massive construction project. The Solitude was already twice the size of any ship humanity had ever built, and they were only 30% complete. "Emily," he said, turning to the physicist, "delete those test results. All copies. From now on, this project has one purpose as far as anyone knows: proving humanity can succeed with a radical new approach to fleet doctrine. And the real reason. We'll warn them about the space-time degradation, but only after we've proven the one-ship doctrine works. Otherwise, they'll panic and try to find their own solutions that might not work." As Reynolds strode toward the quantum core installation, his mind wandered to the classified simulations they'd run. The Solitude wouldn't just be powerful, it would be transformative. Its modular design would allow it to adapt to any situation, its unified crew working with an efficiency no traditional fleet could match. Let the aliens laugh. Let them mock humanity's primitive solution. In 6 months, when the Solitude launched, they would learn an important lesson. Sometimes, the simplest answer was the most revolutionary. And sometimes, solitude truly did equal strength. Multiple Drachnid signatures detected, Admiral. They're not even trying to mask their approach. Admiral Reynolds stood on the Solitude's primary bridge, watching the tactical display as 37 hostile vessels emerged from hyperspace near the Newton colony. Their formation was textbook Drachnid aggression, a three-layered assault pattern designed to overwhelm single targets. They still think we're conventional, Reynolds said, his voice carrying across the unnaturally quiet bridge. Status of civilian evacuation. Lieutenant Park's fingers danced across her haptic interface. Newton Colony reports 97% of civilians in shelters. They're scared, sir. The Drachnids have never pushed this far into our space before. Reynolds nodded. 5 years of preparation, simulation, and testing had led to this moment. The Solitude hung in space, its massive form reflecting the distant starlight. To the Drachnids, it must have looked like an easy target. One ship, however large, couldn't hope to counter their proven combat doctrine. All hands. Reynolds' voice echoed through the ship's neural network. Initialize separation protocol Alpha. This is not a drill. The bridge crew felt it first, that peculiar sensation of their neural links expanding, connecting not just to their stations but to each other. Through their shared interface, Reynolds could feel their excitement, their anxiety, and their absolute trust in the system they'd spent years perfecting. Sir, the tactical officer reported, Drachnid flagship is broadcasting. A scaled face materialized on the main screen. Fleet Commander Zexthor, his crimson scales gleaming under harsh lighting, managed to look both amused and contemptuous. Admiral Reynolds, surrender your colony, and we may allow your singular vessel to retreat intact. Your experiment in fleet doctrine ends today. Reynolds smiled. You're right about one thing, Commander. Something does end today. He cut the transmission. Separation protocols complete. The engineering chief reported. All modules report ready. Begin Phase 1. The Solitude shuddered. Massive sections of the vessel detached with surgical precision, each one larger than a conventional cruiser. The Drachnid's tactical display must have been chaos as what they thought was one target suddenly became 12, each section moving with independent purpose, but synchronized intention. Through their neural link, Reynolds felt his crew operating as one mind with hundreds of perspectives. Module 7 banked hard, its point defense systems tracking incoming missiles with impossible accuracy. Module 3 and 4 executed a pincer movement that would have taken a conventional fleet 10 minutes just to coordinate. Their formation is breaking, Lieutenant Park reported, her satisfaction flowing through the neural net. They've never seen anything like this. The Drachnid fleet's disciplined approach dissolved into confusion. Their ships, trained to fight traditional formations, found themselves engaged with an enemy that seemed to think faster than they could react. When they concentrated fire on one module, 2 others would appear from impossible angles. When they tried to retreat, they found their escape routes cut off by modules that had quietly maneuvered behind them. Module 2 reports critical hit to Drachnid destroyer. Tactical announced. 3 enemy vessels disabled. No casualties. They're using precision strikes exactly as planned. Reynolds watched through 12 different perspectives as his crew demonstrated years of training. The Solitude's modules danced through space with fluid grace, their movements synchronized not by computers, but by the direct neural connection of their crews. They weren't just fighting. They were rewriting the rules of space combat. Drachnid flagship is powering up their hyperspace drive, Park reported. Their screen is collapsing. All modules, Reynolds commanded, execute convergence pattern Delta. The scattered sections of the Solitude moved as one, herding the remaining Drachnid vessels into a tactical kill box. But rather than deliver the final blow, the modules surrounded them in a display of overwhelming force. Open channel to flagship. Commander Zexthor's face appeared, his scales now pale with shock. What? What are you? We are humanity's answer to an outdated doctrine, Reynolds replied calmly. Leave our space. Tell your leaders what you witnessed here. The age of traditional fleets is over. As the surviving Drachnid ships limped into hyperspace, Reynolds felt his crew's collective pride through the neural net. They had trained for this moment, but the reality had exceeded even their expectations. The Solitude began its reintegration sequence, its modules joining together like pieces of a living puzzle. They had just changed the face of space warfare forever. And this was only the beginning. "Send word to Earth Command," Reynolds ordered. "The one-ship doctrine is no longer theoretical. It's revolution. Neural synchronization at 130% of design parameters," Dr. Marcus Webb announced, his voice tight with concern. "That's 15% higher than yesterday." Admiral Reynolds studied the holographic brain scans floating above the medical bay's central console. Each image showed increasingly complex neural patterns, spreading like brilliant constellations across his crew's minds. "And you're certain there's no degradation?" he asked, watching the patterns pulse in real time. "The opposite, actually." Webb manipulated the display, overlaying the crew's neural maps with Singleton's eye matrix. "Their cognitive functions are enhancing. It's as if the human brain is using our AI as a framework to evolve." A subtle tremor ran through the ship. Reynolds felt it not through his feet, but through his mind. 300 crew members simultaneously registering the micrometeoroid impact before the sensors even flagged it. The sensation still unsettled him, even after 6 months of these developments. "Admiral to bridge," his comm crackled. "We're picking up distress signals from the Arcturus trading route." "Pirates." Reynolds was already moving, his neural link with Singleton feeding him preliminary data as he walked. "Affirmative. Looks like the Red Scar Syndicate. They're hitting a civilian convoy. Probably thought we were still dealing with the Drachnid incursion in Sector 7. Reynolds smiled grimly. The pirates were about to learn why that incursion had lasted only 6 hours. He reached the bridge just as Singleton's avatar materialized, a shifting geometric pattern that pulsed in sync with the crew's shared consciousness. "Multiple hostile vessels detected," the AI reported, its voice resonating both audibly and through their neural network. "They're using a scattered attack pattern designed to exploit the limitations of single-ship response times." "Show me." The tactical display exploded with information, but Reynolds no longer needed time to process it. Through their enhanced neural link, he experienced multiple perspectives simultaneously. Tactical officers identifying weapon signatures, engineering crews preparing power distribution, navigation plotting optimal intercept courses. "Sir," Lieutenant Park's voice cut through the shared consciousness. "Something's different. The neural link. I can see attack patterns before they form. It's like we're predicting their movements," Reynolds finished. "Singleton, analyze crew neural patterns during combat scenarios over the past month." The AI's response flowed through their shared consciousness like quicksilver. "Pattern recognized. Crew neural architecture is adapting to process tactical information at unprecedented speeds. You are no longer simply reacting to enemy movements. You are anticipating them based on a collective analysis of combat data that occurs faster than conscious thought." Reynolds felt the truth of it. His crew wasn't just working in perfect synchronization. They were evolving into something entirely new. Each engagement made them faster, more intuitive, more connected. "Red Scar vessels entering weapons range," Tactical reported. "They're splitting into..." "Wait, their formation just changed. They know we're here." Through the neural net, Reynolds felt his crew's shared amusement. The pirates had heard about the Solitude, had prepared specifically to counter their capabilities. But they were working from outdated information. "All hands, execute separation protocol Omega." The Solitude broke apart, its modules moving with liquid grace. But this time was different. Reynolds felt his crew anticipating not just the pirates' current moves, but their likely responses, their backup plans, even their individual psychological breaking points. The battle that followed wasn't really a battle at all. It was a dance, a demonstration of evolution in action. The Solitude's modules moved through space, like extensions of a single organism, each action perfectly timed to exploit weaknesses the pirates didn't even know they had. Enemy vessels disabled. Park reported 3 minutes later. No casualties on either side. Clean sweep. Reynolds stood at his command station, feeling the shared satisfaction of his crew through the neural net. They had become something unprecedented, not just a crew operating a ship, but a new form of human consciousness. Part of him knew he should report these developments to Earth Command, but another part, the part growing stronger with each passing day, understood that some evolutions needed time to stabilize before they could be revealed. "Begin recovery operations," he ordered. "And Dr. Webb, update your research protocols. We're not just observing this evolution anymore. We're going to understand it, because something tells me we're going to need every advantage we can get." Through their shared consciousness, every crew member felt the weight of those words. They were no longer just testing a new military doctrine. They were becoming something else entirely, humanity's next step into the void. The Meridian swarm filled the view screen like a living nebula, millions of bioships moving with insect-like precision. Reynolds watched as another Drachnid battle fleet vanished beneath the organic tide, their dying transmissions adding to the chorus of defeat echoing across Alliance channels. "That's the 6th fleet lost in 2 days," Lieutenant Park whispered, though through their neural link, her horror reached every crew member. The Drachnids, the Centaurians, even the Archean Collective, none of their tactics work against these numbers. Reynolds felt Singleton processing combat data from the fallen fleets, the AI's calculations merging with their shared consciousness. The swarm strategy was elegant in its simplicity: overwhelm through sheer numbers, adapt to any response, and consume the defeated to grow stronger. "Sir," Tactical reported, emergency transmission from the Drachnid High Command. The scaled face of Supreme Commander Zex Thor appeared, the same commander whose fleet the Solitude had humbled months ago. His once proud bearing was gone, replaced by desperate urgency. "Admiral Reynolds," he said, mandibles clicking in distress. "The swarm approaches the Drachnid core worlds. Our remaining fleets cannot." He paused, swallowing his pride. "Cannot stop them. We request immediate assistance under Article 7 of the Alliance Charter." Through the neural link, Reynolds felt his crew's collective tension. Article 7 had never been invoked before. It was an admission that a major power faced extinction. "Show me the strategic plot," Reynolds ordered. The display expanded, showing the swarm's advance across 3 spiral arms of the galaxy. Traditional fleet doctrine had failed spectacularly. The more ships thrown at the swarm, the stronger it grew. But through their enhanced consciousness, Reynolds and his crew saw something the others had missed. "Singleton," he commanded, "analyze swarm movement patterns against our evolved neural architecture." The AI's response flowed through their shared mind. Pattern discovered. The swarm operates on a similar principle to our neural network, but primitive, instinctive. They are a collective consciousness without true innovation. Like insects, Reynolds mused, an idea forming in their shared consciousness. They react perfectly, adapt quickly, but they can't predict like we can. They don't truly think ahead. "Sir," Park interrupted, "the swarm just changed course. They're heading for the Arcturus corridor, the fastest route to Earth." Reynolds smiled. "They're not heading for Earth. They're heading for us. Singleton detected our neural emissions. We're the only thing in this galaxy that operates anything like they do. We're a threat." "Admiral," Webb's voice came from medical. The crew's neural patterns just spiked again. "We're seeing synaptic evolution in real time." Reynolds felt it, their shared consciousness expanding, processing combat data faster than ever before. Through their connection, complex battle strategies formed and refined themselves in microseconds. "All hands," he ordered, "separation protocol lambda." The Solitude broke apart, but differently this time. Instead of 12 major sections, it split into hundreds of smaller units, each one precisely calculated to match the size of individual swarm ships. "Sir," Tactical reported, excitement bleeding through the neural net. "The swarm is responding. They're breaking formation to engage us ship to ship. Now they see us as equals," Reynolds said. "Time to show them why that's a mistake. Execute Evolution Protocol 0. What followed defied traditional combat analysis. The Solitude's fragments danced through the swarm's formation, each movement predicted and countered before it began. Where the swarm adapted through instinct, the Solitude's crew adapted through understanding. Where the swarm overwhelmed through numbers, the Solitude's modules struck with precision born of enhanced human consciousness. "They're trying to reform," Park announced. "Standard swarm response to superior opposition. Gather, overwhelm, consume." "Not this time," Reynolds said. Through their neural link, he sent new coordinates to each module. "Show them what true evolution looks like." The Solitude sections moved in impossible patterns, herding the swarm into smaller and smaller groups. Each time the bioships tried to adapt, they found their new tactics already countered. It wasn't just combat. It was the triumph of conscious evolution over blind adaptation. In the end, the massive swarm broke apart not under overwhelming firepower, but precise strikes at critical nodes their shared consciousness had identified. As the surviving bioships retreated in disarray, Reynolds felt his crew's unified understanding. They hadn't just won a battle, they had proven that humanity's path, quality over quantity, innovation over numbers, was the true future of space warfare. "Send word to Alliance Command," Reynolds ordered. "The swarm can be beaten. But first, they need to understand that Solitude isn't just about being alone. It's about being singular." Commander Diana Martinez stared at the quantum display in her quarters, her neural link deliberately disconnected from the ship's network. The data was damning. Power fluctuations in the primary core, unexplained gaps in the security logs, and encrypted transmissions piggybacking on routine communications. "Someone's going to notice eventually," Lieutenant Chen said from behind her. Like Martinez, he had temporarily severed his neural connection, one of the few crew members who agreed that humanity's evolution was moving too fast, becoming too alien. "That's the point," Martinez replied, fingers tracing patterns through the holographic data. "Admiral Reynolds is so focused on proving his doctrine that he can't see what we're becoming. We're losing our humanity, bit by bit, and calling it progress." The ship shuddered slightly, another micrometeoroid impact that she felt strangely distant from without the neural link. For the first time in months, her thoughts were fully her own. 3 decks above, Reynolds stood on his bridge, aware of the growing void in his crew's shared consciousness. "Dr. Webb, report on the neural pattern disruptions." 37 crew members have disconnected in the past hour, Webb replied, his concern flowing through the network. "It's like watching stars go dark in our collective consciousness." Reynolds had felt it coming. The crew's latest evolution had pushed them further from baseline humanity than ever before. They could process information faster than any computer, anticipate events before they occurred, even share emotions across vast distances. It was magnificent, but also terrifying. "Sir," Park's voice cut through his thoughts, "we're picking up anomalous readings from the quantum core. Power fluctuations don't match any known pattern." Through their shared consciousness, Reynolds felt the loyal crew members' increasing anxiety. The quantum core was the heart of the Solitude's revolutionary capabilities. Any disruption there could be catastrophic. "Security team to quantum core," he ordered, but even as the words left his mouth, multiple alarms blared across the ship. "Sir," Tactical's voice was sharp with alarm. "Quantum containment is destabilizing. Someone's overridden the safety protocols." Reynolds felt the sabotage through the neural net, a poison spreading through the ship's systems. But he also felt something else. Fear, determination, and righteousness flowing from the disconnected crew members. "Commander Martinez," he broadcast shipwide, "I can feel your conviction even through your disconnection. But this isn't the way. Martinez's voice came back over the comm, tight with emotion. "You don't understand, Admiral. I've seen the classified reports, the ones you've been hiding from Earth Command. Our neural evolution isn't stopping. In another month, we won't even be human anymore. Someone has to prevent that. By destroying everything we've built," Reynolds demanded, even as his connected crew worked frantically to counter the sabotage. "By killing everyone on board. Better that than becoming the thing alien species fear most, a human hive mind with the power to reshape reality." Through the neural net, Reynolds felt Webb's sudden realization. "Admiral, she's not just trying to destroy the ship. The quantum core overload, it's designed to sever all neural connections permanently. Anyone who survives will lose their enhanced capabilities." Reynolds closed his eyes, feeling the loyalty of his connected crew members, their determination to preserve what they'd become. But he also felt the fear of the disconnected ones, their genuine belief that they were saving humanity from itself. "Martinez," he said softly, "you're right about one thing. I have been hiding reports from Earth Command, but not about our evolution." Through the neural net, he unlocked classified files, letting them flow through the ship's systems, where both connected and disconnected crew could see them. The Arcturus anomaly wasn't just about fleet quantum fields damaging spacetime, he continued. It was about consciousness itself. Traditional fleet operations were creating tears in the fabric of reality because they fought against the universe's natural order. But us, our neural evolution, we're becoming what humanity was always meant to be. In the quantum core, Martinez stared at the declassified data, her hand hovering over the final override. The choice between humanity's past and its future had never been more stark. The fate of the Solitude, and perhaps humanity itself, hung in the balance of her decision. The tension from Martinez's failed sabotage attempt still lingered in the neural network as the Solitude patrolled the outer rim of Alliance space. 3 weeks had passed, and while she and her conspirators were confined to the brig, their disconnected presence felt like phantom limbs in the crew's shared consciousness. "Contact," Park announced, her mental alert rippling through the network before her voice reached their ears. "Massive signature at bearing 34 Mark 7. Reynolds felt the collective surprise of his crew as the sensor data flowed through their consciousness. The vessel emerging from the quantum wake was almost an exact match for the Solitude in size and configuration. "Singleton," he commanded. Analysis. The AI's response resonated through their shared mind. "Unknown design. Material composition suggests Kordax origin, but configuration contradicts all known Kordax fleet doctrine." The Kordax? Webb's surprise colored the neural network. They haven't been seen outside their territory in 3 centuries. The mysterious vessel hung in space like a dark reflection of the Solitude, its hull seamlessly smooth where theirs was modular. Through their enhanced perception, the crew could sense something familiar emanating from it, a unified consciousness, but fundamentally different from their own. "They're broadcasting," Park reported. The holographic display shimmered, revealing a humanoid figure whose features seemed to shift and flow like liquid metal. When it spoke, its words carried the weight of multiple voices in perfect harmony. "We are the Unity. We have watched your evolution with great interest, children of Earth. You walk a path we once traveled." Reynolds felt his crew's collective unease. "I am Admiral Reynolds of the ECS Solitude. Your vessel. It's based on the same principle as ours. The one becomes many, the many become one." The Unity's form rippled. "We achieved perfect synthesis centuries ago. Individual consciousness merged into collective perfection. No discord, no doubt, no fear." Through the neural net, Reynolds sensed Martinez watching from her cell, her earlier warnings echoing in his mind. Was this humanity's destination? "You're why the Kordax disappeared," he realized. "Your evolution consumed your entire species." "Consumed implies loss." The Unity responded. "We ascended, and now you approach the same threshold. We offer guidance, direction, purpose." The Solitude's crew felt it then. a subtle pressure against their shared consciousness, an invitation to something greater. The Unity's collective mind reached out like a gravitational well, promising answers to questions they hadn't even formed yet. Sir, Webb's mental warning cut through the sensation. Their consciousness is trying to interface with our neural network. It's beautiful, but it's consuming individual thought patterns, creating perfect uniformity. Reynolds stood, physically and mentally bracing against the Unity's influence. You didn't achieve perfection, he said. You sacrifice what made you unique. Evolution without diversity isn't evolution at all. It's stagnation. The Unity's form solidified, its features hardening. You resist inevitability. The path to unity requires the surrender of inefficient individuality. No, Reynolds countered, feeling his crew's support strengthening his resolve. Our strength comes from our differences. We're not pursuing unity through conformity. We're achieving harmony through diversity. Such harmony is temporary, unstable. It will fail. Then we'll fail on our own terms. Reynolds straightened. Singleton, execute Evolution Protocol Sigma. The Solitude's modules separated, but instead of forming tactical patterns, each section pulsed with the unique neural signatures of its crew. Their shared consciousness didn't suppress their individuality. It amplified it, creating a symphony of different perspectives working in concert. The Unity's vessel responded, its perfect surface finally showing seams as it attempted to match their configuration. But where the Solitude's movements were fluid, creative, alive with individual initiative, the Unity's response was mechanical, predictable, perfect but limited. You show us what we lost. The Unity's voice carried a new tone. Regret. Perhaps our path was not the only way. It's not too late, Reynolds offered. Your consciousness could evolve again. Learn to embrace diversity instead of consuming it. The Unity's form flickered. We must consider, process, reevaluate. Their vessel began to retreat. We will watch your progress, children of Earth. Your path may lead to something we never imagined. As the Unity vanished into quantum space, Reynolds felt his crew's shared understanding. They had glimpsed one possible future for humanity and rejected it. Their evolution would embrace diversity, not destroy it. In her cell, Martinez's neural link quietly reactivated, adding her unique perspective back to their collective consciousness. Sometimes it took seeing the dark reflection to appreciate the light within. The Coalition's ultimatum is non-negotiable. The Drachnid ambassador's scaled face filled the main viewport. Either Earth disbands the one-ship program or face complete economic isolation. Reynolds stood on the Solitude's bridge, feeling the focused attention of not just his crew, but the entire Alliance Council through their quantum feed. The coalition of alien races had finally made their move, leveraging their combined economic might against Earth's revolutionary doctrine. Interesting timing, Reynolds replied coolly. Especially considering the Solitude's recent success against both the Swarm and the Unity. One might think you fear our effectiveness. The Centaurian representative cut in, their crystalline form refracting light nervously. The Solitude was reported engaging hostile forces in the Proxima sector yesterday, yet somehow appeared in the Arcturus belt this morning. You're building more ships in secret, violating. Am I? Reynolds interrupted, a slight smile playing at his lips. Through the neural network, he felt his crew's anticipation. Months of preparation were about to pay off. The Archon delegate's mechanical voice buzzed with accusation. Our sensors detected Solitude's quantum signature in 3 different sectors simultaneously last week. The evidence is irrefutable. Show them, Reynolds commanded. Singleton compiled the sensor data from the past month, projecting it for all to see. Multiple signatures of the Solitude appeared across Alliance space, responding to distress calls, intercepting pirates, conducting diplomatic missions. Impossible activity for a single vessel. Your conclusion is logical, Reynolds admitted, but wrong. Singleton, execute Evolution Protocol Omega. The Solitude's neural network expanded, and through their enhanced consciousness, the crew performed their most ambitious demonstration yet. The massive ship split apart, its modules reconfiguring in ways that defied traditional physics. Through their evolved neural links, they controlled each section with precision that made multiple ships unnecessary. "We're not violating any treaties," Reynolds explained as the coalition representatives watched in stunned silence. "We're simply operating on a level your sensor technology can barely comprehend. The Solitude isn't just a ship anymore. It's humanity's next step forward." "Impossible," the Drachnid ambassador hissed. "No crew could maintain neural cohesion across such distances." Dr. Webb's voice carried through the feed, calm and precise. "Our neural evolution has exceeded all projected limitations. We can maintain perfect synchronization across entire sectors. Distance has become optional." Through their shared consciousness, Reynolds felt Martinez's vindication. Her earlier fears had transformed into understanding. They weren't losing their humanity, they were expanding its definition. "And now," Reynolds continued, "we have evidence of your own supership programs." The coalition representatives froze as classified files appeared in their feeds. Singleton had spent months collecting data, identifying the subtle signs of secret shipyards and classified research facilities. "You didn't really think humanity was the only species to recognize the flaws in traditional fleet doctrine, did you?" Reynolds asked. "The difference is, we chose to develop our solution openly, to face the fear and criticism rather than hide our evolution." The Archon delegate's lights flickered in what passed for agitation. "These accusations are baseless. The Drachnid Unity-class dreadnought under construction in the Omega cluster suggests otherwise," Reynolds interrupted. "Or the Centaurian quantum mesh ships being tested in dark space. You're all pursuing the same goal, just without the courage to acknowledge it." Silence fell across the quantum feed. Through the neural network, Reynolds felt his crew's satisfaction. The political game had been just as carefully planned as any military engagement. "We propose a new agreement," Reynolds offered into the silence. "Instead of sanctions, let's establish an alliance initiative for controlled evolution of space warfare doctrine. Share our research, our discoveries, our safeguards. The universe is changing. We can either change with it together or risk being left behind separately." The coalition representatives conferred privately, but Reynolds could already feel their resistance crumbling. The Solitude's demonstration, combined with evidence of their own secret programs, had shifted the balance of power. "Perhaps," the Drachnid ambassador finally conceded, "there is wisdom in your proposal." As the political details were hammered out, Reynolds shared a private thought through the neural network with his crew. The true test wasn't proving the one-ship doctrine's military effectiveness, but its potential to transform civilization itself. They had started a revolution in space warfare. Now they would guide its evolution across the galaxy. The massive alien armada dropped out of quantum space like a metal storm, 500 ships strong. Leading them was the Drachnid Unity-class dreadnought, its debut deliberately staged to challenge Earth's dominance in supership doctrine. Behind it, vessels from a dozen species formed attack patterns that had been practiced for months, specifically designed to counter the Solitude's capabilities. "They still think this is about military superiority," Reynolds mused, standing on his bridge one last time. Through the neural network, he felt his crew's shared amusement. Even Martinez, fully reintegrated into their collective consciousness, appreciated the irony. "Incoming transmission," Park announced. "They're demanding Earth's surrender and the complete decommissioning of the Solitude program." Reynolds smiled. "Right on schedule. Dr. Webb, are we ready?" "All preparations complete, Admiral. Humanity's next step awaits your command." The alien fleet's commander, a Drachnid admiral whose scales had grayed with age, appeared on screen. "This demonstration of force is regrettable, Admiral Reynolds, but necessary. The balance of power must be preserved." "I couldn't agree more," Reynolds replied. "That's why we're about to restore it." Singleton, Execute final evolution protocol. The Solitude's neural network exploded with activity. But instead of splitting apart, the ship began to pulse with energy that defied conventional sensors. Through their shared consciousness, the crew felt the quantum fields shifting, reality itself bending around their evolved understanding of spacetime. "Sir," the Drachnid Admiral's voice cracked, "we're detecting multiple quantum signatures, impossible energy readings. 12 vessels emerged from quantum space around Earth, each one unique in design, but carrying the same revolutionary potential as the Solitude. They moved with perfect synchronization, their crew's neural networks harmonizing instantly with the Solitude's own. Allow me to introduce humanity's true doctrine," Reynolds announced. "The Solitude was never meant to be alone. It was a prototype, teaching us how to evolve beyond traditional limitations. Each of these ships represents a different path of human advancement, designed to work in concert not through quantum fields, but through evolved consciousness itself." The alien fleet's formation wavered as their sensors registered the truth. The Unity was there, a vessel designed for diplomatic missions, its crew's neural network optimized for cross-species communication. The Infinity, built for deep space exploration, its consciousness expanded to perceive quantum realities. The Harmony, a medical ship whose crew could link directly with biological systems to heal at the cellular level. "This is impossible," the Drachnid Admiral whispered. "No species could maintain neural cohesion across multiple superships. The power requirements alone." "That's because you are still thinking in terms of technology," Reynolds explained. "We're not running on power anymore. We're running on evolved human consciousness. The ships aren't our tools. They're extensions of what humanity has become." Through their vast neural network, Reynolds felt the crews of all 13 ships working in perfect harmony. Not a hive mind like the Unity they'd encountered, but a symphony of diverse consciousness working together. Each ship specialized, each crew unique, but all part of humanity's next great leap forward. "The choice is yours," Reynolds offered. "Continue this show of force, and witness capabilities you haven't even imagined yet. Or accept our original proposal. Join us in guided evolution. Let us show you how to expand consciousness without losing individuality, how to advance without sacrificing what makes each species unique." The alien fleet hung in space, their carefully planned attack patterns now meaningless against what they faced. One by one, their commanders opened channels, not to threaten, but to understand. As negotiations began, Reynolds shared a final thought through the neural network that now connected thousands of evolved human minds. The one-ship doctrine was never about solitude equaling strength. It was about learning to be singular in purpose while infinite in potential. The crews of all 13 ships acknowledged this truth, their consciousness resonating across space itself. They had achieved something unprecedented, not merely a revolution in space warfare, but an evolution in what it meant to be human. And this was just the beginning.